Hello! Hello! And welcome back to the Clockwork Dragon Tavern with me, your host and barkeep, the Clockwork Dragon themselves. Dragon? Yep. Hello. that's all you get for an intro. That's all you're getting. Hello, welcome back. Um, we're doing more map making today because the map last time we did map making it was really fun and very productive. So we're doing more map making today, and we're actually gonna be doing a at least starting off, depending on how much we can get done, with a subscriber map. So anyone who subscribes to the channel gets to make a map request and request a map, and it could be as detailed or as undetailed a request as they wish. Anything from just a name or theme to a full layout plan and description of what they want in each room and so on and so forth. And we've got a map request from Starry, who is a subscriber on here. And if you have not seen Starry, go check out Starry Bunny because they're awesome. And I am not just saying that because he is my partner. He is genuinely amazing and awesome. So go check out his community. I know you, Jesse. You're over there right now, checking out his art. And he is doing art at the moment. So check him out. But he's actually requested a map when he subscribed to me, and so we're going to be working on a map for him today. And so we're on Incarnate instead of Dungeon Alchemist right now, because this map I've determined we'll need something a bit more precise. So, what was Starry's request? Well, Starry has requested the map to be of Starry Bunny's house. So the Starry Bunny being of both his streamer name, but also his character, the Magical Girl Bunny from space, from planet something. I can't remember the planet name. But he has requested that we draw Starry Bunny's spaceship house. And I've gone a list of the 5 rooms that are going to be in this spaceship house, and we're going to make it. So, luckily for us, because obviously a lot of these map-making tools are specific to, like, fantasy. But lucky for us, Incarnate has a sci-fi battle maps setting, which gives you sci-fi textures and items and stuff. So that's what we're going to be using to build this today. Now, I'm not sure about the size, and I don't know if Starry wants the map to be gridded either. I might actually have to shoot a message over to Starry and ask, hey, do you want your map to be a grid map or a non-grid map? But we'll make it as a non-grid map, and then a grid can always be added later. I'm not sure the exact size of it, but I'm imagining it's going to be longer than it is wide if it's a spaceship. So we're going to go for portrait, the basic portrait setting. Now, there'll be a grid on the map-making tools, but we can turn it off when we export the map. But here we go. We're going to make this. Now, I've got 5 rooms that we have to make here to make this spaceship. Now, I might also add an extra room if it's a spaceship. I might add like a Hannah Bay or something. But let's see. We're going to make this spaceship house. So, the first thing we want to do, really, is I'm going to start off by changing the background texture, and we want sort of... I want a spacey. I want a spacey texture. I want like a blank spacey texture. Oh, here we go. One of these will work. Let's go blue space, because I know that blue is Starry's favorite color. And we're just going to paint... Is this a foreground or a background? This is our background, I'm pretty sure. Yep, so we're just going to paint up the background with a space. Like this. We're just going to do that. And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to just make a nice... So there's our background. I'm going to get a foreground color in, which will just be like a metal floor. And then as we build up the spaceship, the flooring will already be there as we add foreground pieces to the thing. And we want a good like spaceship floor hole type thin. We've got like these metal floors, but if this is coming from the Starry Arts planet, I imagine it's gonna be quite nice and brightish, right? So maybe something that looks. We want something that looks looks nice. Like a shiny floor. Maybe. How about one of these? Let's not go for the hexagonal patterns because I know Bunny struggles with those because of the trypophobia. So we're gonna go for like this nice sort of decorative floor that looks quite cool, and we're gonna put it onto a foreground setting, which means you're not gonna see anything crop up on screen at the moment, but it is there. So we're just gonna do a little brush over the entire map like this, and while we can't see what it's doing, effectively it's painted it onto the foreground, which doesn't exist at the moment. But when we add foreground onto the map, it's going to already be painted with the correct look. So we just want to do this. I'm going to make sure that there's not going to be any blank spaces. That should do. Now is when we start adding foreground. And normally I turn on grid mode, just because it makes it a lot easier to paint if you've got a grid on. It makes it a lot easier to shape out the rooms, and then you can adjust it beyond the grid afterwards. So we're going to turn the grid on, and we're going to start at this end, so this will be the front of the ship, and then back here will be the back of the ship. And we're going to actually start with the very front, and I'm going to start with the cockpit of the ship, the driving room, from which this spaceship will be driven. And I want to sort of get this central. This is about central. So we're going to... There we go, and you can see the floor texture appearing there. As I... so if I did this, you can see the floor texture appears as I make this. I'm actually... It is a nice floor texture, but I'm not sure if it's really working for what we want. Or maybe it's because it's too big? I'm not sure. We're going to undo that. Because I know I want here. I want to go... So we want to go for the sort of like... Is snub nose the right word? I'm not sure. We're going to go for this sort of like angular front to the spaceship that gets thinner as you get near the front of the spaceship. And we're going to turn the brush size down so we can fit in these single blocks. And we'll make it... It won't be all blocky. We'll sort of cordon off these to look nice. This is just for the basic layout. So this should be big enough for the cockpit of the ship. Now that I see it, I am wondering about maybe switching to a different... Well, what about this one? How does this look? I feel like that's not bright enough for a Starry Arts planet ship. We want to go for something quite nice. Dark glass, not glass. We don't want to go for glass. What is this? Floor decor... Oh! Now that actually looks nice, but that's the kind of texture that goes over another texture. So, if we can find a good under texture, we can use... What about this one? Marble? I'm not sure. I don't like that. This is going to be a difficult choice to make. City, street, apartments. Let's see. One is to feel homely. Maybe one of these nice shiny floors. Nah, streets won't cut it. We don't want a street floor. We want a... No, none of these. I'm not sure. I don't think industrial is gonna get us what we want. No, one of these might be, and one of these shiny floors might look nice. Done. Just drop a quick ban on spamming. There we go. Okay, let's see. Fancy carpet. Okay, yeah, this looks quite nice. Let's go for this. If this is meant to be, this isn't just a spaceship. This is a home as well. This is Starry Bunny's house ship. It's a house and a spaceship, so we want it to look quite homely. And different rooms may have some different carpets and stuff that we'll put in. But we're just going to do all in with this one background color for now. However, this is going to be the base. We're going to have these sort of two textures mixed together to make quite an interesting looking floor, I think. And I'm just going to paint this sort of across the entire map. And that should solve any hassle later. There we go. That should be good. Okay. So we've got this. Now, we're going to turn off the grid mode at first. Right, that's the move area. We don't want that yet. We want... Nah, that square's not going to work. This would help us. This might help us, actually, with getting a nice looking slope. If we build it out like that. Can I rotate this, actually? There we go. If we want this to come to like an end in a point, then like this. How about like that? There we go, like that, and then let's do that to sort of fix the edge here. That's a bit skew because of that. There we go. How's that for a spaceship edge? That's getting there. I do think it's maybe a bit too pointed. So what we're actually going to do, first of all, we're going to just subtract a little bit from the edge here. We want to be very careful about what we're subtracting. And we're going to sort of bring the front to a more like curved nose of the ship. We want it to sort of end in like a bit of a curved nose like this, kinda. There we go. Like that. Now all we do is we flatten it out on the inside with that, like this, with a few little taps. We want it to look smooth. So we do this and that, like that, and there you can see it's now smoothing out a bit, and I'd say that looks like a lot more of that looks fairly smoother, but it's still a bit of, I think it's a bit too far out this way, so we're just gonna rein it back in a little here along the side. What we're going to do is actually we're going to create a box to rain it in along like that. Does that look smoother? It looks a bit smoother. This side looks a lot smoother than that side. Alright, that there just looks genuinely smoother there. I'm wondering how we can repair that. Okay, I'm going to try something and I can always undo it. But if I do that, that comes to like... so that's a bit of a flatter. It's not quite as curved, but... Oh, didn't mean to do that. Nah, I don't like that. I think that might do. I think that's a decent... It's a little curve. Got a little curve to it. That's probably a decent edge to the ship. So we're gonna go through this entire thing room by room, and so if that's the first room, we want to actually add walls and paint in like the edges of the ship and stuff. And yeah, we've got this outside sort of line along the wall to show us highlight it, but honestly, it's not great. And while we could change the color and make it sort of grayish to look like a wall or something, it's going to be better if we just use it as a guide for now and we actually put actual walls there. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to decorate this map properly. So I'm going to turn off the grid for now. So this is what we've got so far. And what we're going to do now is decorate this room. So we want to go... We don't want to put trees in there. We want to go into here. And what we really want to do is find the fleet. Here we go. Spaceship stuffs. We need spaceship stuff. So there needs to be like a flight console. We need the control panel and flight console for the ship to actually be operational. Which means no, it's not. Computer? Oh, here we go. Here's a computer, and there's others here. Here we go. I like the look. These ones look very like they look all sciencey. This one looks like some high-tech sciencey flight computer. So we're gonna put this in. And by there, we shrunk it down a bit. And we want to put it sort of maybe at the back. We want to leave a bit of space there, so we're going to put it about here. Now, the main question is whether this is a spaceship designed to be flown by only one person or multiples. Now, this is Starry Bunny's ship, and she's flying alone, I think, so it's probably a one-person ship. So we'll want various computers and systems close together, which means we're gonna, if we've got multiple screens and computers and the like, we'll want them all sort of surrounding a central point where she can like swivel between them to check out different things. So we're gonna have then this computer by here. And we want these computers to look somewhat. We don't want three of the same. We want them to have a bit some different looks to them. That's an empty computer desk. Those are both empty. I'm wondering if these are too big. especially for the size of the chair we're going to end up putting in. So I'm actually going to make this smaller, like that. And do the same with these. And put them there. So now we've got these 3 little computer desks for Starry. So there's like a flight computer, like sensors and navigation and stuff, all situated around this middle area. And then we want to put in a chair, obviously. You need a chair. And we can have like other screens as well, like sensor screens. In fact, I really like the look of these sensor screens here. Of these screens. So we're actually going to swap out one of these computer terminals. I want to get them to about the right side. No. Hold on. I want them to be size 60 there. We're actually going to swap out one of these terminals for a blank table. And we're going to put in the blank table like that. And then we're going to... put it in like that, and we want to just drop it up a layer to be on top. There you go. Now that looks pretty cool. We need a chair for obviously our pilots to sit on. So we're just gonna... Ooh, didn't mean to... I did the button. It's loading something they shouldn't be loading. I pressed something. Oops. That's okay. I accidentally clicked onto the fancy things. We're just gonna go back to sci-fi. We want like a chair. And we want like a nice pilot's chair. But something that looks comfy. This one looks cool. But there's an operating chair. Okay. How about this chair? Maybe. I don't know. We do want it to look spaceshipy. So let's go for that one. Nah, not that one. Let's go for this chair. And we're going to plop that there. And then I think what we want is maybe some server banks or something. And I'm wondering if there's any of those here. No. So what we'll do is we'll just grab some miscellaneous machines that look like they could be server banks. Because there's tons of these things anyway. We want to grab just like some random computers, random bits and pieces. And stack them against the sides of the room. And and then like some random monitors and stuff. Here you go. This is supposed to be a mirror, but it does look like a... Are there any other mirrors, or is that the only one? It does look like a screen. So I might actually add a couple of leaves into the room. We're probably gonna... I say we're gonna add them along this wall. Here. Like this. And the same on the opposite wall. And then we want to add some like machines and stuff down the sides. Let's add like this air conditioning unit here, because that looks pretty good. And then we want to add. I mean, that's a pretty high-tech fridge. I'm gonna save that for the actual kitchen though. And we just want stuff that looks high-tech and cool. Maybe let's just add a couple of benches or something. Some desks with like stuff on. Let's grab this desk. Let's make this smaller though, because this is too big. It would fit in nicely there. And it does look kind of like some sort of server junction or something. So we'll plop that in there. And then we're just going to add like this large mirror thing at the front to be like a window. Actually, no, we might just grab and find like an actual window or something. So let's look at walls. As now we've built up a fairly nice amount of stuff in the room. Now we have to build up the walls of the room, and we've got a fair amount of stuff here. We've got pipe wall. We've got these blue metal walls, which I think we'll use. They're very spaceshipy. Industrial. We've got some good things here. Electrical walls, old steel walls. High-tech walls, maybe? We don't want brick, because this is meant to be a spaceship, so we can't have brick walls. And we're not gonna have weird organic walls either. No, thank you. The electrical metal wall. I mean, standard metal walls might be good. I'm wondering if we go for maybe some high-tech walls. Only way, a lot of these walls aren't particularly big. Slim blue. I think we'll go for the blue walls. Oh, maybe they're bigger than I thought they were. Like if I... Oh yeah, these walls are pretty big. Okay. This is a deceptive sort of look to it. Oh, so we're gonna have to size down a lot of these things. I think we go for the slim walls. Not the pipe ones, the slim blue ones, I reckon. And we want to shrink them down to about 50. Although, if I do this right, I can cover this entire wall here with just one wall. Because the thing is that a spaceship's going to have thick walls anyway. So they can be pretty big. Pretty thick. That looks pretty good. But what we're just going to do is mirror it that way. And put it like that. So now the wall is sort of covering up the grey. We're using the grey as a point of reference for where to put the walls. So we're gonna do that. There we go. Now we've actually got these little wall corners. Which in itself is going to be incredibly useful at points like this, where we have to have the wall turn a corner. However, if we look, you can see it doesn't quite align with like the shape of the corner we got. But that's okay, because what this means is that we can actually edit our floor to match the type of wall we're putting in. Now, we can place this. So I say we place these walls in, and then we just have to move a few things around. Oh, not that. We want to do that. And these things always take a bit of work to line up properly. But if you notice there, obviously that'll line up somewhat well. Now we want to drop that down a bit. The main issue is going to be the wall intersections. If I just move this off to the side for a bit. See, that would look good from the inside, but from the outside we're seeing this weird bit where it's sticking out. So we want to fix that, and I think the best way to fix that is just going to be to adjust the room slightly. And this is why getting the walls right is a pretty important thing. And why, honestly, I probably should have done the walls first, now that I think about it. That probably would have been a better decision in the long run. See, now this flows together and looks a lot better. And you can see the sort of join between the two walls, but it's not too bad. You're always going to get a bit of join. Now this here is, we've got a corner. What I'm thinking actually is we remove this wall and we put in a shorter wall. Like that. Then we put in the corner there, maybe? We can compress the room down a bit if we do this. I think that'll work fine. I think compressing the room will probably work better than extending it at this point. So we're just gonna move this stuff sort of off to the side, out of the way, while we put the walls in. And we want, so if the reason I'm clicking back on the stamp before selecting new stamp is because when you select a stamp, it will auto select that when you go into the stamp tool. So we want to make sure we have the right stamp selected. So there we go. We want to do that. And we want to line it up quite nicely. There we go. And then we're gonna line it up there. And at this point you can see we're actually going a bit off of the edge of the grey almost. Actually, we're kind of spot on with the edge of the grey, so that's pretty job well done there. That's lined up pretty well. We want to line these up as best as we can. And when we plop this in, we can now see that, yeah, this isn't fully lined up. So we're just going to move these up like this. which basically means that everything just needs a little tune-up, like that. Is this... This isn't matching by there, is it? See, this is what your the life of map making ends up as, is constantly trying to figure out what has gone wrong and how. These are not lining up at all, but they should. Should essentially be a fully mirrored fin if done right. Now I'm actually going to extend this way to avoid these sort of clipping through. I'm going to extend the map like that, and I want this to be central. So I'm actually going to turn the grid back on for a second. I want this middle one to be central. So I'm going to do that, and that's about central. There we go. This does mean realigning the rest of this, which should hopefully help me figure out what went wrong in aligning it the first time round. And I am seeing, mirror-wise, this is the other wrong way round. So I'm just going to do that to fix that, mirror it correctly. And hopefully maybe that has some help, some hand in fixing whatever went weird with it before. Whatever's caused it to be off kilter, off center. Now that is just how I want it. It's the same with this one here as well. This was off by a bit. So if I do that, this should there we go, result in these lining up better, is my hope. So you'll notice that, yeah, one side is shorter than the other. Which doesn't make much sense, because I used an... Okay, so what I'm going to do here to try and fix this is I'm going to delete these. I'm going to take the ones on this side, so that's these. I'm going to copy and paste them. Oh, and that went wrong. That went dreadfully wrong. And then, see, copying and pasting. No, it doesn't work that. Unless I can group these together. Can I group them? Alright, no, I don't want to group that into one. I want to grab these. Lock selection. So now they should be locked together. So now, when I select one of them, does that... Oh no. So lock selection does not do what I thought it did. It just stops me from being able to select them. Which will be handy for wanting to not move things when incorrectly. What I want to do is create group. Section 1, let's call it. So now I'm hoping that when I flip this group, yeah, it flips it properly. It does that. That's what we want. So now we want to duplicate this group, and we've got a second wall section 1. And when we flip it, it's correct. So now all we should have to do is line it up like that. And that should align properly, which it does. Now, you'll notice this wall is obviously too short. And the question is always going to be how much can we get away with clipping the walls over each other before it becomes noticeable? So there, we kind of gone away with it, but it leaves, the problem is, it then leaves this as not mirrored. We want to mirror this entire map. We want this to be symmetrical. So we're going to move the central part down a layer. So we've got these parts on the top layer. And now that's more symmetrical. And we've got the wall, and it actually merges quite well there, I think. I think that's a decent job. I think that's what we wanted. So we just need to look at making sure that none of the map is overlapping incorrectly. So we're going to go to our little subtraction brush and just make sure that nothing's clipping over the edge of the wall. And what we also want to do is make sure that everything that should be within a floor inside the wall is. So what we do there is just grab our little brush and go around the edge. We don't have to worry about the shadow, and because I'm going to remove that, we just want to worry about the floor. And see that, like here, where we've got this grey, the grey line, because that was the edge of the map. Now we've got the floor. So now we've got our first room. Now there's a bit of, if I turn off, if we turn off the grid, and if we go to our mask effects, if we turn off the outer stroke, you can see we've got a little bit of wall poking out here. So we're just going to remove that. You want to, there. And overall, there we go. That's the first room. Now we just have to put in these props again. Now we've made the room smaller, so we're going to see if these fit in, and these actually do fit in quite nicely, snugly into these corners now. And we're going to keep them on the layer they're on underneath the new fins, so it's like they're built into the walls. Now, the problem with this is that it's going to overlap where the door out of the room is going to be if I put it like that. So we're going to put it back here instead. And then for this table fin, I think by here is okay. It's okay to have some non-symmetrical elements. Now, that's the first... I'd say that's the first room complete, and a room I'm quite happy with, other than the fact that right now, yeah, we've got these screens, but the question is, we probably want a window, right? Because we want, like, a window to be able to look out of. We want a thick, reinforced spaceship window. So we are actually going to remove the part of the front, and we're going to put in a window. So we're going to remove that and put this in instead, but straight off the bat it's too big, so we're going to just make that a bit smaller. And even then, there, it is still way too big, so we're just going to make it even smaller still. And we're actually going to move it up a layer so that it is in front of everything, its dominance there, and there we go. Now we've got a window. However, I feel like I want the window to be bigger. I want the window to take up more room here, so But if we do that, it's too big. It's too thick. That's the problem with that window. We want a thinner window. So I'm actually... Hmm. We actually want a window like this, yeah. But see, we could go for the much thicker window, but I don't think we want to. What we want to do instead is that's gonna be too thin. Then if we do that, that's too tiny. Okay, the window here is actually difficult. So we might just settle for this window here and have it... We scale it down a bit so they'll have a smaller port window to look through. The only other option would be stretching out and making this bigger. We've already made the room pretty big, pretty wide. So I think that'll do as the window. I mean, it's a spaceship, so you'll have, like, screens and stuff, won't you? Actually, no. Yeah, that is a good idea. So we're actually going to put this wall back in. We're going to just do a bunch of undos. And instead of putting in, like, a big window or whatever, we're going to put in, like, a viewing screen. Here we go. Oh, so we want to put in this sort of screen here. We want to drop it up onto the top layer. And that there will be our viewing screen for the pilots to take a look at, which will show sort of out into the cosmos. If there's a better thing to use for it, then I'll grab that instead. Doors, vending machines. If we have like a better screen, like screen looking thing. Well, actually, one of these might work better. Okay, yeah, let's do this. Use this instead. So, let's lower this down to about 70. Bit lower. Bit lower. 65. Yes. There we go. So we lower that to 65, and now we've got this viewing screen. Perfect. That is that room. I'm going to say that's that room done. I'm happy with that room. Now for the next room. But to do that, we need a door. We need to be able to leave this room. So I can see some doors already, but we want to find like the best looking doors. Ooh, these sliding doors look quite nice. I like the look of these sliding doors. And especially if we can scale them down a bit. Say, if we put a sliding door in there, but so we're going to have to, again, mess with the wall. We're going to have to remove some wall and add in a new wall. And that fits really well into that sort of roundish socket there that's part of the door. The only problem we're gonna have here is the size of it. Because that anything too big is gonna overshoot the edge of the map. Or anything too small isn't gonna reach the door. But this is why being able to overlay these map pieces with each other is such a useful method. And as you can see here, as long as we make it look decent, there'll be a little bit of sort of overlay over the top of each other. Actually, I wonder if we can make mask. Can we like mask out? It would be nice if we could like mask out parts of the fins. Cut it here. I don't know what these filters are. That's not really helping. If I could just mask out parts of items, that would be very useful. Oh wait, enable mask effect. Oh wait, that's just the shadows. That's just that. We're actually gonna just turn that off there. There's outlines. And we're actually going to operate on like this. Now as we're working on this, ads are starting in 3 minutes. We run an ads block once. We run a 3-minute ad block once every hour to prevent pre-rolls and support the channel. If you do enjoy what you see, then please do consider bearing through the ads. I know they can be tedious, but it helps support us. Subscribers don't see ads, and as I'm doing right now, subscribers also get a map request that they can make. And Twitch Turbo users also do not see ads. So thank you very much. How can I'm maybe like that? I think that's doable. Like that sort of works. Maybe if maybe like that. That sort of works. There we go. Now we want to just copy the same thing over here. There we go. Over now we want to do the same thing here. We're gonna flip that. Now over here we've actually got this table to contend with. So I'll move that for a second. And what I'm trying to do is sort of line these up with the little curved parts in the door in the door frame that's specifically designed to hold the door or hold into the wall by the looks of it. I'm actually gonna cheat this bit here and make it a little bit smaller. It does appear like there's a bigger gap on one side than the other. Which would indicate to me this door is not central. So if I do this, maybe the solution is to just use a bigger door. But I don't know if that'll be too big then. I feel like that is going to be way too big for too big a door. So we're going to work with like this. There we go. So now we've got our door out of the room. We're gonna plop this table back into place over here. There we go. That's that room complete. I'm quite like that. I like that room. So, moving in, obviously, before going directly to the next rooms, I think we want a hallway that'll then have all the other rooms of the ship connected to it. Like a nice single hallway. So we're going to click the grid on again for the purposes of this, and we're going to draw the hallway, and the hallway's going to be a bit bigger than the door itself. And I think this is the ideal width for our hallway. So our hallway is going to travel up like this, and in total there are living room, bedroom, kitchen, and bathroom that need to fit into this hallway. So we're going to have to fit these 4 rooms into this. Now we've got space. So each room could be fairly big. I'm thinking living room. The living room and the bedroom are going to be pretty big, and then the kitchen and the bathroom are probably going to be smaller. So I think we have like living room one side, kitchen other side, then bedroom. So we have the living room. We have one big room and one small room on each side, I think. So we're gonna give plenty of space in this hallway for assuming that our ship's gonna be pretty big. So like this here is probably like one room. Then we'll have a smaller room next to it. Bathroom itself might turn out to be smaller than any other room. We could use use the extra space to make like a closet or something. And we will end with another room at the back of the ship for like a hangar or something or the entrance to the ship at the very least. So I think that'll work well. Now we need to decide where, and I'm actually going to place the doors and entrances to these rooms off the bat. We're gonna start off with them. I think at the very end, we're gonna have this sort of hangar, this large door that is gonna lead to like this hangar bay. Now, that's obviously got a fairly that takes up most of the hallway. These are 50. That's 30. Yeah. Oh, actually, yeah. So if I do the original thing I placed was a little too big, the door. So we're putting in this sliding door here for that. And I think we'll then want we want to obviously get the right size corner, and it's gonna extend the hallway's width a bit, but I think that's okay. I think that is a better to extend the hallway's width and have this look right. So we're gonna do that, and we're also gonna do the same thing on this side. We're gonna fit these. This is why I like these particular sci-fi doors with the sliding, because they have this like the curved part there either end. It gives you just a nice little guide point for slotting in the wall. Like that there basically is just a nice little slide the wall in to there, and it'll all fit nicely. We want to make sure we want these two aligned. So they're not currently aligned. Still not aligned. One of them's going to have to move. Let's move this down a bit. Now... Oh, still not. We'll move this up. Okay, so now we got these two corners neatly aligned. We're going to be forming this hallway. Obviously, just a nice straight wall is like a couple of walls was just then that would be nice. However, we have to remember that there are going to be doors in the mix as well. We need at least 2 doors, probably 3 on one side. Whoever side has the bathroom. I imagine bathroom will be smaller than kitchen for sure. So I'm gonna say that this side here is the bedroom and kitchen side. Or maybe the living room and kitchen, if we have living room and kitchen next to each other. So we got that wall there. And then we want a door. We want the door in there. So this door is then going to be a single door. And it's going to go 1 layer down because it's not going to be a big chunky door. And we got it like that. Then we want to continue the wall going downwards until we reach the next door section. So we can actually use a much bigger wall here, because the next door I think will be much further down. Even if the room is right nearby, like the big rooms will probably be closer to the cockpit, I would say. So we want to just fit this in nicely, like that, maybe like that. Let's say like that. There we go. And we can even check the alignment of these, and you will notice, yeah, they're not aligned fully. Problem is, of course, we are also having to we're using the doors, which have these little bits here, as our alignment mechanism. And the doors, with doing that, they're never going to be fully aligned because of how these doors look. If we look here, this wall looks pretty good. They're definitely... Are they aligned? Oh, they are actually aligned. Oh, right. That's how we do it. We flip it. That's how I did it. If I flip that... See, to align it, that would have to move over like that. And that's definitely not fitting inside the door pattern. What I'm thinking is, maybe the real solution here is to flip the top one. Like that. And now, yeah, that fits much better. So the real way to align these things is for the bumpy edge there to be facing the sort of inwards part, the outwards part of the door, the part where there isn't a backing on that edge. So we're going to actually do the same thing over here. Except we can't on the corners. That doesn't work on the corners, so the corners are going to have to stay like they are. Nothing is... It's not going to be perfect. I don't reckon... It may not be perfect, but it's going to look good. That's the main thing. As long as it looks good, like the second door can fix any offsets or stuff. As long as it looks nice, it'll be fine. Thing I'm worrying about is consistency. So I am actually going to go do something here, and I'm going to flip this around and move this bit for consistency, because we want the walls to be consistent. So we want. Oh, actually, there it's because that's the outside, and then the pipes are facing the inside. So we're gonna have the pipes. We're gonna have the pipes facing the inside as much as possible for consistency. Obviously, when it comes to 2 rooms, you have to decide which side the pipes are facing. So I think the pipes are not going to be facing. The pipes are going to be facing into the hallway. I think is the nicer appearance. So we're going to do that. That'll be how we're working things. These not being perfectly lined up shouldn't matter in the long run, because it should be fine. That should be fine. I don't think that'll matter in the long run. If it does, we can always grab it. I can always grab a different door. But the sliding doors do look really nice. Is the thing. We've got other doors. But the sliding doors look really nice, and they do look the sort of sci-fi-ish, sort of futuristic-y. And I quite like them. We're gonna stick with them and just see how it goes. So we've got that set of doors now. And we're definitely going to need more doors before we reach the end. So we're going to use... I say we use the door there, actually. There we go. Then grab and figure out how this corner. So this is going to be the trickiest part, is linking together these 2 walls. And I think the best way to do that is probably by using a corner piece like this. Which also means I can probably just remove this extra little bit there. And it's not even visible, because this corner piece is now covering up that gap. And honestly, that it merges together fairly well. So that's, I think, the best way to do that. So now we've got one side of the hallway wall. Now on this other side, we're going to have 3 doors, because I don't think I think the bathroom will be too big otherwise. So we're going to add a little storage cupboard just to pad out the space. So we're actually going to have that first. We're going to place a door high up. We're going to place this door right here, fairly high up. We are, however, going to flip it like that. So we're going to sort of reverse the direction here. And that's going to be the storage. So a little storage room. need it to face that way. Like that. Then I think another door for the bathroom, and then we'll have the door for the final door further down. It's all a case of sort of estimating where the best placements are. So there we go. This the next door. Then we want to grab more walls, and as much as it would be actually, I could use, with what I've got here now, I have enough space to drop in the big wall like I did there, then the door and the final stretch of wall, and that's gonna work better. I think this will work well, so we'll do that. Then we've got that space to put in the ooh, I wonder actually if I turn it that way, the pipe will be facing the inside. If I do that, it's going to be piping on the inside of the room. But I think a little bit of piping on the inside of the room is fine. If I flip it the other way around, it doesn't cover up the gap that way. Honestly, if the door up there at the top wasn't too big, I'd just place the corners by here and then move that along and have the walls inner, but this door is very big and doesn't really allow for that, so this is going to go there. But first up, we got a door to place, so we're going to place this door here. And then we need our final wall, which is going to be a short wall, in all likelihood. Now here we've got a problem. The wall is too short. This wall is too short, but the next step up is too long. See, this is the kind of situation where if I was making this to put using in Foundry or something, I'd just cheese it by putting this here, and I'd have the line of sight block off the discrepancies in the wall and block off where that is. But this isn't being made for that. This is being made with the purpose of being able to see it as a whole map. So we cannot cheese it as much as I would like and as much as I would normally would. We have to be more careful with this. I think best way to do this is to just plonk down another bit of wall underneath. That has the right sort of, there we go. There. It's not perfect. But that sort of fixes the hole in the wall. What we can also do is move them down, the pieces down a bit. But I think that will have to do for that's yeah, it's just a chunky little, maybe slightly patched up spaceship wall. But I think it works. I think that works. So we've got our rooms now. We've got our hallway. We've got room for our rooms. So now we have to place them. Okay, so our first room is going to go on this side, and we're going to have the. So we're going to have the kitchen and the living room on one side, and then the bedroom and the bathroom and the little storage room on the other side. So this room is going to be, first of all, our living room. Now, this is going to be a fairly biggish room. Now, first of all, what we really need to do is power this, and it doesn't matter if it goes over the walls a bit because we're going to have rooms there anyway. So that's actually perfectly fine. So this is going to be the entrance to the living room. Now, the living room itself, we want to be fairly big, right? And I'm thinking about maybe like having like a curved edge to it, like almost like having a little observation-y part in the coming off the living room, like an observation deck with a little roundish bauble. I'm wondering. So if this is the living room, obviously we want it to. Obviously, it needs to have the look of a spaceship. Right, that's part of the point. Is this is a spaceship, so the wall. It's not going to be a perfectly squarish room. So I say we do the walls first. That's just what makes the most sense to me. And this is just sort of a rough overlay of the size. Now I'm thinking, if I just grab the right wall size, maybe. First of all, we need this to be 90 degrees. See, I was thinking maybe we have another one of these curve things like this, where the room. But the question is whether I want to put that first or put a wall to extend it out first and then do that. And I'm thinking spaceship shape wise, let's do this. We've got this wall here, which we're just gonna. There we go, just a bit. Then we've got this wall here. And this is going to do this. And it's going to let us do this to the shape of the room. Now, the important thing to note here, however wide far out this room goes, is going to end up sort of setting the tone for the room behind it. Because this is a spaceship. We can't just keep having wider and wider rooms. It's got to be wider in the middle. It's going to end up having to slim down, or there's going to be a point where it can't go wider and then shorter again. It's got to make sense spaceship shaped wise. So I'm thinking like that. And then I'd love to use a curved wall somewhere in this. Somewhere in this entire creation, I would love to use a curved wall. Maybe here. Maybe here, to curve it round into going straight again. Like that. That looks decent. Okay, yeah, let's try that. My worry is that too big? But I'm not sure if there's any real way of making it smaller, because I used the medium wall. I think it'll be fine. This is going to be a big living room. It's just going to be a big living room with lots of stuff inside, and that's just how it's gonna be. So we wanna But now, I actually do have some reference pictures that I can look at here that Bunny sent me. Now, Bunny built this house in Minecraft, but and has sent me some of the screenshots from the game and to use as references for building this. So let me look at see how Bunny has sort of built the living room. Okay, so there's a rug on the floor. There's some like little fins in the corners, like little glowy fins. That she's used some glowy. He's used some glowy blocks, and there's a little settee. There's a chair. There's a couple of potted plants, and there's like something there in the corner. So we actually, if I open, this is the picture that Bunny has sent me. So this is the picture Bunny has sent me. So we've got this here. So we're gonna kind of try and replicate this kind of feeling. It's not gonna be exactly the same, because obviously we're going from something that's been made in Minecraft to trying to make a full-on map that looks spaceshipy. But I reckon we fit this stuff in. Now, what I do reckon, however, windows, and I reckon before we finalize this, we put in a window. And I want a big window here. A big spaceship window. And this might actually help with our size problem as well, because the window is smaller if I go for that one. If I go for this window, it's even bigger. But, and that's while it's a nice big window, I think I'm going to go for this smaller window. I'm going to go plop it down here, and we're going to sort of attach it to the wall like that. And now allow us to drag this closer and sort of just chunk that into the wall there. In a sort of natural way. That looks pretty nice. Question is, do we want more window? Like, along the edge? I could very much have, like, window along here. Even like that. But I think maybe that's a bit too much then. I think you don't want too many windows in a spaceship, because they are arguably the weakest part of the structure. What we do want, however, is to then be able to bring this wall back around in a way that looks natural. I think just a corner. I think we will just have to do just a nice flat corner. Because while I'd be tempted to use something like this, I feel like that would make the kitchen, the kitchen behind it look weird. So I think the kitchen might. It probably won't go out as much, but I feel like it'll look weird if I use this piece. So we're gonna add this corner here. And this actually matches the height almost perfectly to what I estimated. Of course, that was using the grid, and again, we're gonna turn the grid off when the map's finished. This is gonna be a gridless map. And I'm actually gonna turn it off now because it's not helpful at the moment. We're gonna put that in there, and then we just want to finish this off by doing this final patch of wall here, like that. So let's we're gonna now, for these walls that intersect with other walls, I always do that. You always put them on a lower level, and I find it just tends to look a lot natural, a lot better. So there we go. We've got the shape of our living room. We're gonna add to the floor, obviously. Make sure that we've got actual flooring in this room. And then we're gonna remove that amount of flooring that goes outside. Oh, that's what that was. We don't need those shadows. We don't need the shadow effects on. We're gonna just make this brush a bit bigger and clean away the bits of wall that we don't need. Or wall, the floor. The bits of floor we don't need. Anything that clips over the edge of the actual map. So this should all be empty space out here. So there we go. There's a bit more there. And then we just want to fix in this part of the floor here. Because you don't want holes in the floor of your spaceship. You don't want any breaks in the floor, because that's going to expose you to the vacuum of space. It's not ideal, is it? The vacuum of space is not pleasant, generally. So there we go with that. Now I'm actually wondering, to fix this problem with the wall, what if we put a door there? What if we put a door leading from the living room directly to the kitchen? Does that make sense? You know, you have that in places. You know, you have going from the one room straight to another room. It doesn't have to go to a hallway. So I'm wondering if we move this wall along like this, then we can put the door like that. Then we just gotta do that. There we go. There we go. That looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. Nice. So we've got a door going straight from this room to the kitchen. Now we just need to actually decorate this room. So looking at the picture we've got like chairs, we've got a rug. So can I find a rug or a carpet? Rugs and carpets. Here we go. We got some blue rugs. Now, what's that one? It's a pinkish rug. Ooh, we got a rosette rug. Okay. Okay, how's this? Obviously, the only reason it's square here is because it's Minecraft. We're not limited to squares. We can do a lot more. So how about... Let's see. We'll go on a table as well, right? So assumedly they'll want a table in the living room. So let's... put the rug, say, in one corner here. Maybe. And maybe we could put a table on the rug. I can even orient it like that, but then that looks weird, oriented like that. So, I mean, oriented towards the window, it's kind of nice, but I'm not sure about that orientation. We're gonna stick with it this way. Yeah, we're gonna stick with it this way. Where do we want this to go is the question. I think we make it a little smaller and we put it in this corner here. Actually, let's put it in the middle. Let's just put it in the middle. Make it a bit bigger. And then we want like a table. We've got some really nice rugs coming. Also some damaged ones. We don't want damaged ones though. We want a nice table. That's quite a nice one. That's a decent one. There's a round coffee table. And should we get a round one? This sort of round glowing table and put it in the middle of the rug. And then maybe we could put a square table or in the corner for like meals and stuff. So we've got like a nice sort of coffee table in one, and then we've got like a squarish table maybe near the window, so you can sit near the window. So I'm actually going to move both the round table and the rug into like this corner, and we'll have this one be almost like a dining table. So we'll make it a bit bigger, and then we'll have this little one as like a little coffee table by the window, where we'll have like a couple of chairs. And we want to get that just for like the size of the chairs, and we want to have. So we want to go for chairs again, and we want nice chairs. We also want a longer sofa, because in the picture we've got like a long sofa. So none of these are really sofas. They're all armchairs. But okay, let's we have to work with what we have here, don't we? Oh yeah. Now the problem is with the layers. So we're gonna put that on layer 0. We're gonna have our rug on layer 0 and have the table on layer 2, and then we have this chair on layer 1 like this. And we can now. Oh, we don't want it to be. There we go. So now we can place actually a couple of chairs around this dining table. Now, if Starry Bunny is sort of living alone in their little spaceship, then they probably won't have many. But it's a case of like maybe the ship was designed to have multiple people, and they've just been living alone. So we're gonna have a couple of chairs. They can have a couple of different options where they want to sit. This one we're gonna sort of place like near the window like this, next to the table. Not quite, only sort of facing the table, but enough that they can also face out the window if they want. Means I'm actually gonna put this table forwards, make it a little smaller. A little bigger than that. Let's go for 20. Like that. Oh, and have this chair sort of facing like that. There we go. Now we want some like plant. I wonder if they have any. Are there any plants? Ah, yes, they are. Perfect. And in fact, these little potted plants look basically just like what we've got in the image. So we're just going to grab a couple of these. And we are going to plop them around. So we're going to turn off random stamps. We want them to be all sort of similar. And looking at the picture, we've got, a couple in the corner, near the corner. However, we've got these little weird machines in the corner. So I say let's put a plant on this table. That looks nice. Again, layers. Layers is always the key thing. Let's put a plant here and a plant here, maybe. Yeah. And we're gonna put those little machine things in the corner. We might add like a bookshelf and stuff as well. We wanna decorate this place out. It's meant to be a proper living room, so it should look nice and homely. Let's add another plant over here. There we go. Now we need to decide. There's these little weird bits, these glowy bits in the corners. Are those like lamps or something? Maybe it's some sort of lamp. I don't like look at any of those for this. So we just want some sort of little glowy machine. Oh, and we could totally add a couple of this stuff just scattered around as well. So like we can have a laptop here on the table next to the plant. I'm actually going to do that and just move this little potted plant along to the edge there. So we've got a little laptop on the table, just for decoration. So I want like a nice little machine. Traffic lights, manholes, trash cans. None of this really standing out to me as what the kind of thing we're looking for. We'll add the computer desk in. And we'll add like this over here, like against this wall. And we'll just add a chair in front of it. Like that. The chair, of course, should be a layer underneath it so that it doesn't clip over it weirdly, like that. There we go. Now we want. We continue our search for these mysterious little corner machines. I guess I could use something like this vacuum for the corner. Or hold on. Here we go. We've got this little metal glowy block. So this is technically a pillar, but from a top-down perspective, it could be anything. So we put those around. Now there should be one in each corner, and it looks like one either side of the door. So we'll put one either side of the door, and we will just move this chair here to be a bit further away from it, like that. And we'll also put down a second one here on the other side of the door leading to the kitchen. And now we've got those weird little glowy blocks. I'm going to have to ask Bunny what those are actually supposed to be. But there we go. So now this is really starting to fit up and look a bit more cozy. Let's get a bookshelf if we can. Here we go, a bookshelf. Because what living room is complete without a bookshelf? Come on now, books are wonderful. There, so now we've got a quite nice little living room. And honestly, I'm happy with that room now. That's that finished. So now we're going to move on to the kitchen. So as always, we're going to start with the walls. Now, I don't want to take it out in this direction anymore. I want to take it up and then across and back. I want it to eventually connect with the end wall here, is the aim. Otherwise, we've got blank space here. Now, blank space isn't the end of the world. We can have some blank space here that could be filled in, like, on the other side. In this end room, it could go around the corner a bit. Or it'll fit in with storage or something like that. But I would prefer to avoid any of that extra blank space. So first thing we're going to do is... I don't want it to just be a squarish room. Although, it could just be a square room, and that would be fine. But I like making the rooms look a bit nicer than just a square room. I like using these things to make nicer corners and stuff. I think it just looks better that way. But honestly, for this room, I think ending with a square with a squarish shape is fine. So we are gonna do that. We're gonna make this a nice basic square room. Now, obviously, we want this to fit. So we're gonna have to do that. And yeah, I'm getting the save prompt in because I haven't saved yet. I should probably save. So we're actually going to do a quick save, and this is the Starry Ship. We're going to let that save because we wouldn't want to lose all of the work we've done, which is like 4,400. It's like 400 and something changes since we started the map. So there we go. We've let that save. That's all well and good. And we need it to be like that. And honestly, there we go. I think that's a decent... The wall is built decently there. We're gonna back that up a bit like that, but there we go. We've got this sort of decently built wall. Right, so that's our shape, the shape of our room. Now the kitchen, I'm actually going to... Well, obviously, so we've first got to add in the floor space. I'm actually going to recolor the kitchen's floor and go for a more tiled floor for the kitchen, because not everywhere, not the entire ship doesn't have to have the entire exact same floor. It works for these rooms, I reckon, but for the bedroom and the kitchen and the toilet, I'm going to use different coloring for the floor, just for some variation. So first of all, we just gotta trim off the excess here, the excess flooring. There we go. And now I actually am going to... We're gonna go for like a more clinical, clean metal tiling in this room. How's that? How about that? Ooh, see, I like that. But I think it's too big. I think that's way too big. So what we're actually going to do is go into the advanced settings. And we're going to turn down the texture scale. And we're going to turn it down a bunch. To about, say, 20. And how does that look? That looks better, but am I sure about that for the kitchen? I'm not sure about that for the kitchen. But maybe... This. Yeah, I like this texture much better for the kitchen. So we're actually gonna go for this. Now... When it comes to these corners here, I'm just gonna decorate it simply like that to get the corners in. And then we gotta zoom in with the brush, the smaller brush size, to ensure, because we don't want this to cross between rooms, this pattern. Which is normally why making grid-based rooms is very easy in Carnet using the grid paint tool. You don't have to worry about it crossing over. But this is not a grid-based map, which means some of these rooms are between grids, between spaces, which means we get this sort of crossover of the grid and the walls, which means we just need to do some manual fixing with a small paintbrush, like this. Just to fix that problem. Especially when it comes to like these doors where one side is going to need to be different from the other. So we want to do that like that. And then sort of just finish it off like that. There we go. Now that is a nice flooring. And now we can actually start adding in the kitchen items. So most of what we want is going to be in the apartments thing. So like we want a dishwasher. Now we're going to just grab the items we want and plop them up here for now. So we want a dishwasher. We're going to want a sink. And I say we go for... I say we go for the smaller sink with like the side grill fin where you can put dishes to dry. Although we've got a dishwasher, so that's not as necessary. But it just looks more like the kind of sink you get in a kitchen. We've got the hood to go over the cooker. A fridge. So we're just going to sort of plonk down all of these pieces. A stove. That's... What's that? A bookshelf. Nah, we don't need that. However, we will get... I'll put a little air conditioning unit in here. And in fact, I'm also going to put an air conditioning unit straight into this room. By here. And it might not even be air conditioning. Maybe this is how the air travels around the ship. Maybe it's the airflow unit. It's like the life support system. Like this, like that air conditioning vent there. Antenna, lighters, antenna, bookshelf. Fridge, we've got a fridge. Bathroom sinks. See those? Oh yeah, those will be great for the bathroom. The washing machine. Oh yeah, true. Oh yeah, that extra room can have the washing machine in. We want like some sort of like marble countertop or something. And I think this looks like he'll do a good job. In fact, we're gonna grab both of these. Oh, ooh. Actually, let's grab that as well. Let's grab that. That's a good piece. Anything else yet? Maybe we'll just grab a pizza box. We can put it like to the side. You know, we can have a few things nearby. Some decoration. We want like some cupboards or something, I reckon. So that's all graffiti. We don't want to put graffiti in here. Cyber cats. I'm sorry, what? Cyber cats? We got cats. We can put a cat on the ship. I'm not going to put a cat on the ship, but we are going to put... Honestly, I think that's everything we need. Other than a cupboard. We need like a cupboard or something. Here we go. Cabinets. Ah, here we go. Kitchen cabinets. We've got that. We've got there. We've got another couple of those. So, we've got all of these decorations. Now we should start actually placing them down. Now, first thing I'm going to do is put down this table, and I'm going to make it a bit smaller. We're going to put this in the one corner like this as our like carving table. And then we're going to put this table in the other corner. Or actually, let's put it like here near the door. And next to that table, we can put our fridge. So we want to just make it a bit smaller to fit. And okay, we are gonna have to size it down. But I think maybe only by 5 instead of 10. Then we plop into up here into that corner, and we do that. That's a pretty decent build. Now we've got a cooker and the extractor fan. So I would say, if this is our cooking table and this is like maybe a preparation table, we want to put the cooker on this wall, and then the extractor fan above it. And the extractor fan is obviously important in the spaceship, because in a spaceship you can't open the windows, because, you know, opening the window in a spaceship would immediately kill everybody who is on the ship. So we need the extractor fan above the cooker in order to take off all of the heat, all of the steam, extract it and spew it out into space where it belongs. And we're actually gonna build it back a little bit into the wall, specifically so that we can still see some of like the hob underneath. So we're gonna build it back like that. That looks pretty decent. That looks decent. I'm happy with that. Now next to this table, we're gonna want the sink here, and the dishwasher. Now the problem is that's going to block access to the fridge. So the dishwasher itself should be... The dishwasher should really be next to the fridge, is the thing. Next to the sink, I feel like. So what if we move these around? And we do that. And we do that. Then there we go. Now we want to add some of these cabinets, and I think they are a little too big at first, so we're gonna shrink them down a bit. And do that. There we go. And is that actually two different cabinets there? Is that the same? Yeah, that is the same one, just twice. I thought it looked flatter from the one angle, but that's just the doors. Those are the doors poking out. And we're gonna just do this nice row of cabinets where you've got like different ingredients and stuff. There we go. Now, finally, we want to add in the extractor fan, or the air conditioning. The air conditioning, and we're gonna add that in just along here on the where there's space, and then just a little bit of it. In fact, we need a bin. We need a bin. That's what we need. A bin. We need a trash can. There we go. Let's we got a trash can, but we've also got like this pizza box has just been like left on the side. Starry, how could you? How could you be so messy to leave a pizza box on? Actually, you know what? I don't think the pizza box should be in the kitchen. We're gonna put the pizza box in the living room, on just like the side of a table there. Maybe, in fact, should we grab the pizza box that has like a few slices of pizza still in it? We'll have a couple of pizza boxes. Bunny has been like mass ordering pizza for some reason, so we've got like a couple of pizza boxes left over from their last ordering to their space home, because there we go. That's decent. I'm happy with that. Booze. I don't think we're gonna put down any booze. I don't think Bunny has any booze. That's the kitchen basically complete. I'm happy with that kitchen. That's a nice. You don't need to be too complicated with it. No, that's decent for the kitchen, and it means that we got a couple of rooms left to go on the other side of the ship. So that's the living room and kitchen are both done now, so I can cross those off my list. So I've actually got a list of the rooms next to me that I'm crossing off. So next is going to be the bedroom. Now the bedroom's going to be a fairly biggish bedroom, but I don't think it'll be as big as the living room. So we're gonna start off. Do we want to start off with the same shape along the wall or a different shape? I think. Oh, no, I didn't want to make that bigger. I think we're going to start off with. We're going to have it have a sort of similar shape. However, I think we're going to have it turn a lot sooner. So we're going to have this turn here basically instantly in the bedroom. So like that. Or do I? I'm not sure. Do we want the bedroom to be weirdly shaped, or do we want it to be more of a squarish type bedroom? Especially if we then got the bathroom too, and the washer room slash storage cupboards to contend with. The storage cupboard and washer room will be fairly small. The bathroom's going to be fairly small, but still leaves us with not much space. Let's see what it looks like if I do this. So if I like did it like that. then basically that to get it back to the square shape. Oh, and we could even what am I trying to do here? Like that? No, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. No. No, no, no. I think this first part is okay. I think we'll want it to then just have a normal corner. That's gonna be too big. There is fine. But it's not gonna be much of a room when this with the corner, is there? For the corner, if here's the corner. If we do that as the corner there, and then we go like basically just straight then along. Like that. Is that a decent sized bedroom? Bedrooms do tend to be smaller than like the main living room, right? So maybe that is decent for the bedroom. Okay, let's try that. Let's go for that. Let's go for that. Now for the flooring of the bedroom, we want it to be sort of a nice carpeted floor. Now that's what we've already got, that carpet. Shiny floor, warm carpet, we got a lot of carpet. I'm gonna say maybe this will work. Obviously, I understand none of this can be seen yet, so I'm just doing that. Let's actually add in the land here and see what it sort of all looks like. And I think this carpet will work, but I think it is going to need adjusting. So let's do that. Now I realize I just overpainted some of the outside, which is not what I want to do. So I want to just do this. And there we go. Okay, now I just want to get a standard brush and go along the edges to avoid painting over outside. But this is a fairly nice, this is a pretty nice designed carpet. I quite like that. So this one will look nice. There we go. We just gotta, now we got, it's always when you get to doing like the doorway, you gotta be very exact, because it's only like it's only like 5 pixels wide. So we gotta be very exact with that. There we go. Now, subtracting out here, we want to just get rid of these, or this extra. Trim that down nicely, like that. There we go. Get that all trimmed. I mistook some of those stars for part of the foreground, but that's okay. There we go. So now, obviously, comes the fun part of adding in decoration. That's always the fun part. I like that part. We want to add a nice bed. Now, Starry lives on her own, right? So we want only a single bed. Which of these two do we want? They both look quite nice. This one. Let's see, if that's the size of your chair, then your bed should be about that. Yeah, about this big. Now this one fits quite nicely into this little niche we got here. More or less. So let's go for that bed there. And then we want like a little bedside table, right? So, oh, actually, look how well this bedside table fits into the corners. Didn't mean to turn caps lock on. Like, look how well that fits into corners. We're gonna change plan based on how good that is. So, let's. If I put this in the corner, then the bed itself can go alongside it. Okay, let's put that up here in the top corner. Then the bed can go like that alongside it. Like that, maybe. Or like that. Let's say like that. I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know. I'm not happy with that. Maybe like that. Then you can get on from either side. And then we can fill the rest of the room with other things. So, let's try that. Let's have a bookshelf. Not a bookshelf. Yep, a bookshelf. That we'll put down in this corner. Like that. And then we want... Put like a little Walkman, sci-fi Walkman on the bedside table. Because I know Bunny wants one of those. We'll put a phone down there as well. And then we're gonna get a... elevators, oh my. We're gonna get... not taser, no. We're not giving Starry Bunny a taser. Not yet. Nah, I think the bookshelf we've got is fine. We want... What we really want is a... Oh, a wardrobe. Perfect. Let's put that in this corner over here. Oh, now I did forget to think about windows. And if I wanted to replace the wall with a window, I might do. Give Starry a big window to look through into outer space. We're gonna do that. So there's our window. We're gonna remove the wall. And all this means that we really have to do is readjust the room slightly. So, oh, it's the window is going to be this goes underneath there. Then we just adjust this down like that. Followed by that, which means that basically everything just moves down a little bit, like there. There we go. Wardrobe in that corner. Window there. That's looking pretty decent. We want a computer table, I reckon. We want to give Bunny a computer. And maybe a TV. There we go. We're gonna give them a little computer table here. And a chair to go with. Oh, there are couches. Okay, hold on. We're gonna take one of these and put it in this room. And we're gonna get rid of this here. And we're gonna actually put a couch here in front of the coffee table. Like that. I feel like it's a little chaotic, but I feel like that matches Starry Bunny's sort of persona. So it is purposely chaotic. And then we got a little chair there for that. We're gonna have another more comfy looking cozy little chair over here, opposite the TV, with a little table in front of it. Just a little one. For like reading, for having some snacks, or for watching TV. And that, then finally we need the air conditioning. Every room should have this, because how you gotta breathe. And this one's a bit smaller, but that's okay. It's gonna go by there. There we go. So that's bedroom complete. We're gonna save that work there, so we don't lose anything. Okay, only a few rooms left to go. So this is what we've got so far, and on it, I'm pretty happy. It's looking good so far. Just gonna pour a drink. Okay, so let's see. Next up will be the bathroom, because that's the bedroom done. And the bathroom is going to be fairly small. So, as always, we're going to start off with the walls. And quite simple. This is going to be a very, very simply built room. We have that, and then just a corner. That's nice and simple. And then we just want to get a nice long wall. It's going to connect wall to wall. Make sure that goes down on another layer. There we go. That'll be easily big enough for the bathroom. And while we're here, we'll actually build up the room above it as well. Which is basically going to be more or less the same layout. It's going to be smallish room. And then a wall 90 degrees. And just the trickiest thing will be lining it up, but that shouldn't be too difficult. There we go. So now we've got both of these two rooms to do. So this room is going to be our bathroom. And it actually works out perfectly on the grid. Even like that's pretty impressive. These two rooms work out really well there. So for the bathroom, we're going to go for more marbly. I think we want a more marble sort of flooring. This one, I am tempted to use that one. Oh, we have quite literally just got a white marble floor. That we can use. And that looks good. That looks good enough for me. Then we just need to zoom in to do the parts here where the grid isn't as tidy. So we're just gonna give that a little paint. Like that. There we go. Okay. Now we have to add in the actual bathroom items now. Okay. So first up we need. So we gotta have like a toilet, we gotta have a sink, all of that stuff. So there was a bathroom sink Here you go, bathroom sinks, and we're gonna go for this nice one with a mirror above it. And we're gonna place this just to the sort of left or right as you come in of the entrance there. So we've got a nice sink there. We can now we gotta do a toilet. Is there only one toilet or is there many? We've got a few. So let's grab a toilet, and the toilet will be on the other side over here. Well, actually, we do also need a shower, which we're gonna put on like the one side. So if we put the toilet about here. Now, there was a shower cabin. Yeah, there we go. There's a shower cabin there. There's bathtubs. Now, let's make this big. This shower is big and takes up basically an entire part of the room. Big shower. Like that. Or is that too big? I feel that's too big. So we're going to make it smaller. We're going to... There. And then we're also going to... There we go. We can put in a bathtub as well. We can have both. So Starry Bunny has a choice. However... I guess we run the shower along that way. The bath along that way, so they just sort of have to climb in like it's a swimming pool. They have to climb in into the lawn end. But that should work well. That'll be fine. We want like a towel rack, I think. That's what we need. There we go. As requested, so it is. There we go, a towel rack. And then the air conditioning unit. Go there. And boom, bathroom done. That was very quick, nice and easy. And now for the final room, we're actually going to use the same marble flooring, I think, for the washroom. Actually, nah. For the washroom / storage cupboard, we want to use... I think we're going to go for this metal floor. We're going to go for this metal flooring. Now, it's actually clipping into the bathroom a little bit and clipping outside the ship a bit. So we'll fix that. Like this. So we're just gonna do that, and then we're actually going to go to here and just carve away a little bit this edge so that it stops poking through. There we go. So now we've got that room. Now in this room we're gonna want shelves. We're gonna want a bunch of shelves and shelving and like cluttered shelving units. So, such as there. Like that. There we go. And then we're going to want the washing machine, which was somewhere in here. Fridge. Okay, so we got the washing machine. Yeah, there it is. It's there. And then we'll put a clothes rack next to it for the clothes to go onto to dry. And what else could we put in here? Maybe some like boxes? If it's part storage cupboard, then maybe we'll just put some boxes in and stuff. I don't think we need weapons. Although who knows? Maybe Starry Bunny does need some weapons. I'm not sure about that one. Let's go for. Oh, hold on. Yeah, we go. We can put some cleaning supplies around. So we've got like washing powder. We've got a bottle of detergent sitting on top of the washing machine. Along with like a couple of these little washing machine pods. Don't eat them. Don't eat these. They're not meant to be eaten. We've got like these bottles on the floor nearby. There we go. And let's use this. Now it's Cole's broken kitchen cabinets, but it does look a bit like a box. So we're just going to use this to be like a couple of open boxes over here. We're going to have this. Maybe this is a dryer of some sort. I know it's a speaker, but imagination. Imagination is the solution to all of our problems. I think you'll like. That's a decent. That's pretty decent. I'm happy with that. Especially since we're gonna be doing the sort of warehouse landing bay part now. That's gonna have all the proper machinery and boxes in. So let's just put like a little Roomba here. Yeah, just have him better. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Server racks. Give me these. Right, we're making a change to the pilot's cabin. Because these were meant to look like server racks. But we've just found they actually are server racks. So we are going to put the actual server racks in because they look great. There we go, like that, and then you can even put one in along there. There we go. That looks really good. I like that. Card scanners? Nah. We don't need any more of this stuff. I think I'm pretty happy with that. These are all cargo crates and stuff, and those will be used in the next room. in the housey room, or that this sort of warehousey stuff will be used in the next room. So I'm happy for that. It means it's on to the final room. So this room is not on the list that Starry gave me, but I think it's gonna tie it all together, the ship together, really nice. And it's gonna be sort of the entrance room where how you enter the ship, and it's gonna be almost like a hangar bay / cargo bay. So we're pretty free with the shape of it. Now I want to have the to be almost like a hangar bay door type entrance. And that's what I'm looking for here, is that kind of hangar bay door. I could use something like this. Oh no, or it's one of these sliding gates would do. It's like this. Yeah, one of those will do for the entrance. So now we have to build the room. So same procedure as before. Always, we're gonna build up the walls. So we're gonna start with that long beam there, and we're gonna try and like. I think. Yeah. And I wonder if we can add like engines afterwards poking out from underneath it. That's what I'm gonna try and do. Is add in like starship engines. So we got that, like that. And then not that. We want that. We want this one then. There we go. Like that. So then this just... This is going to be obviously the big door that hooks over them. Now, these... I'm actually going to link together. Like how I linked together the walls in the first room. And we're going to group these together as wall section 2. Then we're going to duplicate. We got a wall section 2 that we're going to flip. And, oh, come on. We're going to then put this wall section 2 over here to mirror what we just did. So now all I have to do is center this door properly. Like that. And there we go. That's going to be the back end of the ship. So now we have to obviously build up the walls. For this back end. And it's going to be, it's fairly simple. Just build up the floor like this. Doing what we've done for basically every other part of the ship up till now. It's a repetitive process, but it's fairly simple. So we're gonna fill this in, and here we're gonna have like a proper like metal floor. We might even have some walkways, like with some stairs going up to like a higher walkway from which things can be overseen. I think that'll look quite nice. And when we've done this, we'll basically have finished the map. And this map will be finished, which will be really nice. So let's build this up. Like this. Here we go. And wanna do that. There we go. Okay, now we just have to choose the pattern for it, and I think I want to go for the more industrial looking. It should be quite industrial. I think maybe this would look quite nice. For the metal flooring of it, I think that's... Yeah, I think that looks the best. We can always have then even a higher up, almost grilled part, because I saw... Because what's some of the other options we got here? This. Nah, I'm not a fan of that as a floor texture. The support beam floor texture, I don't think that works. We've got the brighter metal. But honestly, I think that's a bit too bright. I think it's a bit almost garish in bright. Garish bright? I don't think garish is the right word. I think it's too bright. I think the darker one looks better here. So we're gonna go for that. Oh. And yeah, we can just paint across the edges here. There we go. There we go. So we've got now this built up coloring on the warehouse room, which means basically it's down to what we want to put in the warehouse now. And for this one, we are very much just going to be looking at mostly the stuff in the industrial section of the thing. So we've got like factory roofs. They've got pipes and chimney stuff. I think having a couple of pipes in will work well. And pipes and wires are definitely going to work well in certain places. Especially for like where the engines are going to be. So we will put in some of these wall props and pipes and stuff. So, like, for instance, let's, if we assume the engines are going to be, like, jutting out under these parts here. So, that's, over here, let's put in, like, some gas tanks. And we put one... in on this side as well. Then we got like these wall props and stuff. Let's have a control panel here. This is sort of gonna fit to the wall. In fact, this control panel is gonna go next to the door, so it's going to be like the door opening panel. Then we've got like this little fin here that can go along this wall. We've got these pipes and wires, all of this sort of to decorate the edges. Catwalk, here we go. Now this is what we want. We want some catwalks. And this actually fits in really well here, almost. We just need to drop the size a little. And this, look at that. Look at that basically perfect fit. There. So we've got a higher up catwalk. That's gonna sort of go overlooking at this whole place. If I wanted, I could have the catwalk even go over the center. But I think we just want it to... I just want this catwalk to... Maybe here, go to here, and it could be like a crane operation or something. Up at the top of the catwalk, so... The catwalk is going to have like crane operating terminal to operate like something for moving heavy boxes. So, so we want like here there's modular crane parts here. So, well, I'll look here and see what we've got that can actually crane parts. We've got a lot of crane parts. Small crane control room, crane legs, crane part. It's finding the right part that'll look right, and you'll be able to tell what it is. Oh, here we go. How about this? Like that. So we've got the spool and stuff, and you can imagine, in fact, if I build it up, if I place it like here, it's like you can tell then that it's up, because it's overhanging that. So it's like the crane is here in stasis, waiting to move out and lift things. You know, like a crane does. Yeah, I don't really know how to build a crane or what a crane looks like, so that's my best attempt at making something that looks like a crane that's operational. We're gonna have some crates stacked up in one corner. So we're gonna have like these crates over here. We've got them like all stacked up. We've got a couple of crates like on top of other crates. They're also just stacked here, waiting to be whatever needs to be done with them. Even a few underneath the barrier. So for that, I'm gonna lower down the layer so we can place some crates under that. There we go. I'm quite happy with that. We've got our crate corner there. That probably needs... In fact, we're going to remove a couple of the crates from there, just like that. And make the others more accessible to our crew of one. And then we've still got some empty space in like the middle of this room. And I'm looking at like that. If we look at like the industrial warehouse section, a forklift. Okay. Yeah, let's add a forklift into here for Bunny. So we're just gonna add like a parked forklift over here. And I think that's that's decent. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's every. Ooh, alarm lights, perfect. These are lights. We'll have this nice light that'll go like here to show when the door's opening, and another one that's green. Here we go, a red and green light. I don't exactly know what they do, but they are there. They exist, and that is really all you need at the end of the day, is for things to exist. Because, yeah, that's the purpose of the map. You don't need to think through everything. You just need to sort of make it look good. Now, that's all that. So all I want now is engines. Is the spaceship engines that are going to... Now, the problem here, however, is I need these engines to... first of all, I need to figure out which way round they go. Like, which way round is forwards? These are spaceship engines. So these are spaceship holes there. That's nice. As a jump drive engine, we've got these two spaceship engines here. Here we go. We'll use these engines. Those are quite nice. Now the only problem is I need them to be underneath the foreground. I don't know if that's possible. Is that even possible? To add it underneath the foreground. Is that possible? Is that... Because otherwise, it's just going to poke out. It's going to poke into the room like that, which is not what we want. We want it to be poking out from underneath the ship as a whole. So I wanted to poke out from underneath. But taking it as as many layers down as possible, it doesn't do anything. That doesn't do anything, that just blurs it. That just makes it very blurry. That's not helpful. Overlay. Oh, hold on. Maybe some of the blend mode will work. Overlay, soft light, hard light. Okay. So that makes it invisible on the background. Multiply, color burn, lighten, screen, color dodge, overlay. Again, this makes it basically invisible on the background, almost. But visible on the foreground. I want this the other way around. Exclusion. Is that gonna... Cause that's exclusion mode. Is that actually going to like exclude it from view in the export? Because it's like now faded on them. On the one view, it's all faded out. So I'm wondering if that's actually going to work when it exports. There's only real one way to tell, which is to try it. Is there a view option? To trace an image in Carnage, upload it as a custom. Right. I didn't know if that was gonna. That might have been something. Create and edit shapes. So. What happens if I export it? How's it gonna look? No, that's what it's gonna look like. Which is not what I want. Right. That's not what I want it to look like. See, that's just a color difference depending on the background. There, that's not getting rid of it entirely though. I need a. Okay. What's this? Can I custom stamp it? So. Oh wait, what if I flatten it? If I flatten it to the background. Then that might work. If I use the flatten to background option. There we go. That's how we do it. That's how we do it. Ooh, ooh, no, don't want to move that. We want to move this. There we go. And there we have it. That is our completed spaceship. It means we've actually finished this map. The map, we've actually done this map. So now, we're going to export it as image. Yeah, 2K, PNG. We're going to export image. And here we go. So this is Starry Bunny's house ship completed. So we've got all of the rooms they want. We've got their piloting room, we've got their living room, their bedroom, their bathroom, their kitchen. We've even added a laundry and storage room and a warehouse. And there is. And I gotta say, yeah, I think it's decent. Obviously, there's gonna be things on a ship. There's gonna be things like stabilizers and stuff. And we could try and add something like that. I don't know if they are like wings and stabilizers. Let's see. They are, but does a spaceship need wings? Maybe not, but what a spaceship might need is some engines or something on the side. So actually, maybe we're not done yet. Let's do that. And let's add these like side engines and stuff, just to pad out the pad it out a bit and make it look a bit more filled at the sides. It's a functional spaceship, right? So we just want to pad it out the design a bit. There we go. So we've got like these engines on the sides as well. And obviously there's going to be bits above this where there's going to be antennae, maybe some weapons, whatever it is on the ship. But that isn't necessary in this map because this is a floor plan map first and foremost. So now that we've made that edit, I'm just going to Uh, re-export it. We're gonna delete the old version off of my computer. And we're gonna go back. So now that we've added like those little things on the side, the little bit of engines, so that the thing can run properly. Re-export. There we go. There we go. There it is. So that's. I'm happy to call that as our finished map. And I'm quite pleased with how it turned out. Actually, I think this is decent, and I might even ask Starry if I can use it. I might even ask use it at some point in a game or something, because it's a nice little one-person spaceship. Obviously, if we were making a bigger spaceship for a bigger crew, we'd have so much more. We'd have like an engineering department. We'd have also add to starting, just FYI. We'd have like engineering departments. We'd have a bunch of crew quarters and maybe an armory and all of that stuff. But that's not necessary for this. This is just a small one-person little ship. Their engineering and storage and cargo bay are sort of the same thing, so they can work on the stuff there. I think this is a decent little ship. I'm pretty happy with this, and I hope they will be too. I can't wait to tell them that it's finished when we might even raid into them later. The question is, so we've completed that map. That's actually completed. So I'm going to cross that off my list. So that's crossed off of my list of maps, and I've got a few other maps for us to work on during the stream. But honestly, I think we could end this stream a bit early there, and then work and call it there with a successful completed map, I reckon. So I reckon we're gonna do that when the ad break's over. We'll jump into a nice little raid. It's unfortunate timing for the ad break. If I had realized it was coming up, I would have snoozed it so that we wouldn't have to worry about it. But I'm happy with the progress we've made today. It's small, and I was going into this thinking maybe I'll even get a couple of maps done today. But after 3 hours of work, finally finishing this map, well, from start to finish on this map, I think it is a decent time to call it. So we'll go say hi. We can even tell Bunny that we finished their map, which I think is going to be they're going to be excited about. And I'll let the ad break end before continuing. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that work. So, yeah. So, okay, the ad break is about to end in just a few seconds. There we go, that's 2, 1, okay. Welcome back, anyone who's stuck in the ads. So, I've finished this map, and I'm pretty happy with it. We're gonna end the today's stream there. I feel like this is a decent ending point, and next time we'll maybe try and work on a couple of smaller maps or whatever. So we're actually gonna maybe we'll go raid Starry Bunny and let Bunny know that we finished their map. Oh, Bunny is playing Night in the Woods. I like that game. We're gonna go say hi to Bunny. So, thank you very much for joining us. This has been fun working on this map. It's been great. And, yeah, thank you very much for joining us with this. It's been wonderful, and I will see you next time. So, until then, goodbye.